Right, and then the next topic is health, safety and hygiene. There's loads to know on this, so I can't possibly go through everything on this vlog. Please do revise from your books. There's information in there. There's the revision guide on the VLE. Please revise. So we'll start with food poisoning and what food poisoning actually means. And it is an illness that someone gets through eating contaminated food. That is the simple definition. If they ask you what it means in your exam, that's what you write down. High risk foods. You need to know what high risk foods are, and they're foods that are moist, so they have some water content, and that are high in protein. Things like meat, fish, poultry, eggs, stocks and gravies, and cooked rice. They're all classed as high risk foods, which means that germs and bacteria are going to grow easily in them. Next, you need to know about the bacteria and why it makes us ill, how it develops and grows. So firstly, the bacteria has to be in your body and it will attack your body from the inside and make you ill. Sometimes foods can grow toxins or poisons on them, so you're actually eating the toxin or the poison, which makes you ill as well. Bacteria that is inside your body develops through something called binary fission. And this is where the bacteria cells split into two so they can reproduce rapidly. Okay, so the ideal conditions for bacteria to develop, there are 4 actually, and you need to know about all 4. You need to be able to name all 4. The first one is simple, it's food. It needs food to develop. It needs moisture, it needs time, and it needs warmth. Some of the symptoms of food poisoning are abdominal pain, diarrhea, vomiting, nausea. There's lots of different symptoms that you need to be able to talk about in your exam, and they vary and range depending on the type of bacteria. So research that as well and revise that. These bacteria develop mostly within certain temperatures, and this temperature range is called the danger zone. This is between 5 degrees Celsius and 63 degrees Celsius, which you must remember. That's where the bacteria develops and reproduces most rapidly because it's warm, and one of the conditions that they need is warmth. So remember the danger zone temperature, or also known as the critical temperatures, 5 to 63. Next, you will need knowledge of the different types of bacteria out there. You need to know what they're called and you need to know what they're found in. There are 7 altogether that you need to know about. Now it will take me way too long to go through them on this vlog, so please go and research the different types of bacteria. The main ones that might come up on the exam: Campylobacter, which is found in raw meat and poultry; Salmonella, which is found again in raw meat but also unwashed vegetables, so it's found in soil; poultry and eggs; E. coli, which is again found in raw meat and raw vegetables; and then Listeria, which is found in meats, poultry. Cream cheese is one of the ones to remember because there have been questions on that before. So if you get a question on cream cheese, you should be thinking Listeria immediately. Also salad vegetables with that one as well. And then cooked rice is also a big issue in terms of high risk foods, and the bacteria that you find in that is Bacillus cereus. Also pastas, meat and vegetables, but the key there is the rice. So if you get a question on rice, you should be thinking Bacillus cereus. Now I want you to revise all the 7 types of food poisoning bacteria. You need to know what they're found in, some of the symptoms and how long they last. So please do your revision. Next point we're coming on to is hygienic practices, and a lot of you are forgetting your key temperatures or you're getting them mixed up. So before the exam you must make it your job to remember all of the key temperatures. We'll start with the freezer, which is minus 18 degrees Celsius. Then you've got the fridge, which is between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius. You then have your danger zone, which is between 5 and 63, which we've just spoken about. Hot holding temperatures is above 63 degrees Celsius, so you're keeping out of the danger zone. Hot holding, for those of you that can't remember, is where you're keeping your food warm, either on a bain-marie or electronic hot counter, but you need to keep it above 63 degrees and for a maximum of 2 hours as well. And then your core temperature is the temperature which food should reach when you are cooking it. And it's very important that you know this, it's 75 degrees Celsius. Please remember your key temperatures. Another point in hygienic practices is the difference between food hygiene and personal hygiene. Now you will know lots of points about them anyway, but remember personal hygiene is to do with you, the person cooking the food, and food hygiene is to do with how you are preparing the food safely, avoiding cross-contamination, etc. So make sure you don't get them mixed up in an exam question. Next is HACCP. You need to know what HACCP means, you need to know what it stands for, you need to know what it's all about. So HACCP stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points. So it's where you are looking and finding the hazards about how you are preparing food safely, why might it not be safe to eat, cross-contamination, chemicals getting into your food, physical things that have got into your food like your plasters, any bits of plastic, contaminants, so physical contaminants, storing, chilling, temperatures, everything about preparing your food safely is covered under HACCP. So you find the hazard, you say what the point is at which the hazard occurs. So for example, the hazard might be food poisoning through cross-contamination, and then you talk about the control point. So how can you stop that from happening, how can you prevent it? So you use separate chopping boards for raw meat and cooked meat, you use separate utensils for raw foods and cooked foods. So the hazard is about establishing what the hazard is, why is it going to happen, and the control is about how you prevent it from happening. So please revise that, look it up. Okay, you need to go through all the stages of food preparation when you're talking about HACCP. That includes the purchase of the food, so who you get it from, the receipt, the delivery checks, storage of the food, the preparation, the cooking of the food, cooling of food, hot holding food, reheating food if it's appropriate, some foods you just wouldn't reheat, chilling of food, and of course serving food. So you need to go all through those points when you're looking at HACCP and controlling the hazards. Simple first aid. Some of you have got these questions a little bit wrong, a little bit mixed up, and I just want to go through very simply. The difference between a scald and a burn, you probably know. Just to recap, a burn is from dry heat and a scald is from moist heat. So if you burn yourself on a hot pan, that's a burn, it's dry heat. But if you pour boiling hot water on you, it's a scald because it's wet heat. Okay, so they're the main differences. Both of them you will run them under cold tap, under the cold water for 10 minutes or until it stops stinging. You would never ever dress a burn. You wouldn't put a plaster on it, you wouldn't put a bandage on it, and you wouldn't put any cream. So lots of you put, in your exams, in your mocks, you've said put burn cream on or some sort of cream or gel. Don't do it. Okay, so don't put anything on a burn. Just run it under the cold tap. If it's bigger than a 10p coin and you can see that it's blistering, you need to get medical advice. The next one that some people get confused about is cuts. So if you've got a cut, you need to clean it, dry it, and put a blue plaster on. Remember, use a blue plaster so it's visible in food, and they also contain the little metal strip. So in industry, when they're mass producing foods, all the foods go through a metal detector, and that will pick up any of those blue plasters that have found their way into the food. The last thing on this topic you need to know about is the 1995 Food Safety Regulations. Now, it is this act that makes sure that everyone in the country are following the same rules and the same standards. That covers the food premises, the personal hygiene of the staff, and the food hygienic practices as well. So they're the three things that it covers. Please go and research that, revise that. It should be in your books. We've covered it in lesson, so make sure you're aware of that regulation.